dos olhos meus e a luz dos olhos teus resolvem se encontrar. Ai, que bom que isso é, meu Deus, que frio que me dá o encontro desse olhar. Mas se a luz dos olhos teus resiste aos olhos meus só pra me provocar, meu amor, juro por Deus, me sinto incendiar. Meu amor, juro por Deus que a luz dos olhos meus já não pode esperar. Quero a luz dos olhos meus na luz dos olhos teus sem mais lararará. Pela luz dos olhos teus eu acho meu amor e só se pode achar que a luz dos olhos meus precisa se casar.
The Invisible Part 2. What the hell? John said, mesmerized, and started looking around for any paths, mirrors, or anything that could explain, but there was nothing there. How did she vanish like this? Julia shook her head in a confused no and walked back with John following her, curious, all the way down to the patio, that was already empty by then. Julia, do you know what her room number is? She answered, no, I can't remember, to be honest. She is probably fine, and if that's not the case, Georgia will be looking for her soon and we can start worrying about it. You can try to text her too. John thought that it was very unlikely that she was sober enough to answer, but at least it was an idea. Yep, you are right, bad news comes quickly, always, Julia said. Do you want me to walk you to your room? John asked. Of course, why not? So, they walked in silence. John kept looking at Julia while she was constantly texting Elisa and lost in her own thoughts. John supposed that maybe there was one of those fake walls that people put behind bookshelves and they weren't aware of, and they started their own conspiracy theory about the past of the hotel when they arrived at Julia's room. She was saying goodnight when John spontaneously kissed her back on the cheek, as she did earlier that night. It was probably the first time he had seen her shy since they met hours earlier, and he thought it was adorable. Julia repeated her goodnight words and went inside her room, still blushing. John was feeling great that night. He wasn't expecting to meet anyone that interesting. Who would know? John went to his room whistling like a bird and went to bed thinking about Julia, and hoping she was thinking about him too. Next day, John woke up late, feeling a bit hangover, but nothing that some orange juice and ibuprofen couldn't solve. He almost missed breakfast time because he took too long in the shower, trying to wash away his headache. At the restaurant, there were only a few people finishing their meals and no sign of his friends or Julia. After finishing, he texted Ricky to check where they were and went to the pool to meet them. The wedding was going to be around 6 p.m. that day, so they could enjoy the sunny summer day for a couple hours before. He regretted not asking for Julia's phone number to text her and invite her to the pool as well, but she was the maid of honor, so it was very unlikely that she was going to accept it anyway. As if she was reading his thoughts, Julia showed up at the pool around 4 p.m. looking for him. She was beautiful with a navy blue satin dress with details in white pearls that was simple but elegant and made her look like a mermaid coming out of a fairy tale. Oh, glad I found you, John. Can you help me with something, please? Hi, guys, she said to John's friends, which immediately invited her to join them. Thanks, but I can't. I have something to solve. Can you help? Asked her, looking at John. Of course, he said, having second thoughts about his old swimming shorts and flip-flops next to that outstanding woman. She pulled him to a corner and said, I can't find Elisa. John laughed and said, we are still on this? Making Julia slightly grumpy for a second. I mean it, John. Elisa was first supposed to get dressed with us, then Giorgio's sister Lena told us that she was going to get ready somewhere else, with both their moms, but I just talked to Ms. White, and she hadn't seen Elisa the whole day. Okay, John said, maybe she is going to give you guys a first look or something like that, like a surprise. Not necessarily a bad thing, relax, everything is going to be okay. Well, I had the exact same idea, John. So, I talked to the wedding planner to check on it, and she told me that couldn't find the bride as well. I ended up giving her the final instructions for the wedding because she couldn't reach Elisa. That's why I need you, she said, a little bit out of patience. She was a smart woman, doesn't need any basic suggestions about what she could figure out herself. John thought, feeling kind of dumb. Fine, I just need like 15 minutes to shower and dress better than this mess, and rise from the hangover dead state he still was, he thought, so we can go talk to Giorgio and ask if he knows what's happening. Does it sound good? Julia took a deep breath and said, that's what I was thinking too. I could go myself, but I believe it's for the best to have you there. You guys are friends, and just in case there is any bad news. What do you mean by that, Julia? John suddenly felt uncomfortable. Julia then took his hand, which he enjoyed very much, and took him to the garden, where people were setting everything for the ceremony to happen later. Listen, John, there was something off with Elisa these past couple days. She was constantly lost in her thoughts and speaking about our past all the time, our memories from school, summertime, but also about someone she loved in high school. Elisa never had a lot of people in her life, but everyone that passes in her life she loves deeply, Julia said with a sad smile. First seemed to me that the nostalgia was reflections about life. Now that everything is changing with the wedding, feeling emotional, no big deal. But it's so odd that she is nowhere to be found on her bride day. I'm concerned about what was happening inside that pretty yellow head. I understand. Be honest with me, Julia. Do you believe she could give up the wedding like this? Honestly? She is bold enough to do it, but she is also bold enough to tell Giorgio directly that she was having second thoughts, and she would take the consequences. I know, my friend. John believed in her. As far as he knows her, Elisa indeed was brave to defend her opinions and whatever she believed was right. Yep, lots of energy and a strong personality, but empathetic. Maybe Giorgio will indeed know better than us. While they were walking to John's room, he realized that he wasn't very aware of Giorgio's life lately. He was so busy with his research and job searching that he neglected his friends a little bit for the past year. Thus, he asked Julia if there had been any complaints lately, if Elisa was happy with Giorgio, their relationship in general, and Julia just confirmed that they were happy, no major situations. They recently had some discussions about Giorgio's family being too invasive to their relationship, but he resolved by assuring them that he was in love and happy with Elisa. And that made his family open their minds about her and try to improve their relationship with Elisa, that started trying harder as well. And as far as Julia was aware, now they were doing just fine, and Lena became so close to Elisa that she was almost feeling jealousy of her bestie. They arrived at John's room and Julia followed him inside and sat in his bed, still overthinking, and out loud, about what could be happening to Elisa to behave weird lately. He let her comfy in there and took the fastest shower he could, remembering to get his underwear and pants at the last minute, sparing Julia to watch him naked after the shower. Not that John didn't like the idea of being naked around Julia at some point, but not in that situation. No answers from Elisa? John asked, coming out of the shower and seeing Julia texting fast on her phone. No, she hasn't texted me back since yesterday morning when I arrived at the hotel. I hope it's not a prank or I will be very angry. Julia wasn't truly considering that, but it was best than being in trouble. While John was drying his hair with the hotel towel, he felt a soft touch on his back. It was Julia, that had another towel in her hands and was drying his shoulders with it. He looked at her through the mirror and she looked him back, saying, "What? It's wet, don't you dry your back?" He smiled at her and gave her more space to work, while finishing his hair. Once John was ready, they went directly to Giorgio's room. Unexpectedly, it was Lena who picked up the door and invited them in. Giorgio's whole family was there, and no sign of Elisa, obviously. Giorgio welcomed John and Julia, very happy to see them together, and made some jokes about them getting married at this hotel's next conference, so he could save some money on air tickets too. John spoke directly about the subject. "Thanks, but we are not joining. We are looking for Elisa." Lena abruptly answered, jump-scaring Julia. "Well, in the groom's room it's the last place to look, I suppose?" Julia noticed she had no humor at all in her comment. Maybe she is upset about their presence in there, she told herself. Then, Giorgio's mother completed. "She is probably with her mother. Unless she is hanging out with the bridesmaids while you are here, missing all the fun," laughing loudly with a voice that resembled a crow yelling after smoking for 20 years. Giorgio interrupted his family little scene by asking, "Is everything okay, Julia? Did anything happen to Elisa? Do I have to worry? Be honest." "Oh no, Giorgio, I am pretty sure she is fine. I just want to make sure I gave the right instructions to the wedding planner earlier. John and I are already leaving, and we will check with her mom," Julia said, making John confused. She pulled John's suit from the back to signal it was time to go. John immediately wished Giorgio good luck and left with Julia. Once they were out, John asked, "What is the plan now? Shouldn't we have said something to him? I have no idea, and I need a drink, this is stressing me out." They went to the bar, and on their way, like if it was written by the fate, Ms. White found them and asked, "Did you find my daughter?" Just to make explicit to Julia that Elisa was missing and there was something going on for sure. "No, did you?" Julia asked, already knowing the answer. "Oh no, not yet. I believe she is with Lena and Paola, but I can't find them two anywhere."
Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Check out our website to read more tales. www.foresttales.com